Good evening and welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting Monday, September 13th, 2021, in the Walkpoint Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashpee. Broadcast live on local cable, Channel 18, streamed live on the Town of Mashpee website, mashpeemass.gov/channel-18. 6:30, we convene in open session, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and I'd like a moment of silence. Thank you. I need approval of the following: Monday, August 23rd, 2021, regular and executive sessions, and Monday, August 30th, 2021, regular session.
Second.
Roll call. Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Yes.
John? And yes. Okay. Public comment. We have Ed Larkin. Ed, would you like to come up to the table?
I can bring it to you, Ed. Oh, okay.
No, this is just my just-in-case stick, not a cane.
Just in case.
Let me tell you, I want to avoid falls at all costs. Too many of them. Oh.
That chair is so low.
Madam Chairman, I don't know if you would want me, prefer me to speak when you get to the warrant articles. It's about Article 1, or do you want me to make comments now?
You can speak now, that's fine.
Okay.
You can.
I'm a little bothered by the article, by it going to the legislature rather than through the process or through the town.
Now this, Ed, explain which article we're talking about.
Article 1.
Article 1, okay, and this
Yes,
concerns...
that's the change of the name
Right.
The board.
of
The
the
board.
board, from
Okay.
the Board of Selectmen to the Select Board.
Mm-hmm.
The problem I have is that this process would seem to me to circumvent the voters of Mashpee. Under charter amendments, the state constitution in Chapter 43B of the Home Rule Amendment calls for charter amendments to be ratified by the voters of the town. By going to the legislature, it seems to me as though this is circumventing the process. Now, I'm not arguing the legality of it. It's perfectly legal. But is it fair to disenfranchise the voters of Mashpee from voting on this document, which they had to vote on in its entirety when it passed? And I just think that in order to be absolutely transparent with the citizens of Mashpee, that a simple addendum to this article would solve the problem. A simple article stating that once the special act is enacted by the legislature, if enacted, that it be ratified by the citizens of Mashpee by a ballot question.
By a ballot vote.
Some of the reasons is that a reason for this document under, Article 89 of the amendments to the Constitution was for towns and cities to handle all these affairs within their town. And I'm not saying or objecting to going to the legislature. I realize it's convenient, but are we being completely transparent and fair to the citizens who voted on this document in its entirety? Any amendment to it seems to me that it should also be referred to the citizens for ratification. So all I'm asking, and by the way, I did check with the Attorney General's office, their municipal law division, and they're the ones that agreed that that would be the proper way if the town wanted to do it. And so all I'm asking is for this board to consider an addendum to their article for this purpose.
Thank you. Sounds good. We're going to be
Is it-
bringing it up when we,
Okay,
okay?
sure.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
So can I just ask one question, or is that allowed at this point, just of Ed?
Yes.
So, Ed, just so I'm clarify, so, and I know you said it slowly, and I was trying to write it down, is you want the voters to have the last say on this. They want, basically, instead of the voters getting pushed out now, not pushed out, but it would go directly to the legislature, and they would make the decision, and then it would come back to the town. And you're asking that it would just go to the citizens after the legislature?
That's
is-
correct, and
I
that
got
would
it.
simply take an addendum to this particular article.
Okay, gotcha. And that way they would get their say. And then you stay true to the charter as well by doing it in that manner.
Absolutely, and we went through this 2 years ago when I chaired the Charter Review Committee. We did the process and required a committee, our committee, to hold a public hearing regarding of it prior to town meeting. And so it gained some publicity about it, and then town meeting was a little more informed about what they were voting on. However, it still had to be ratified by a ballot question by the citizens of Mashpee. And I just feel that it's fairer to do it in town rather than depend on legislators from Boston, Springfield, Peabody, wherever, to do something for our town. We should do for whatever in our town, within our town.
Or at least
That's
have
what
the-
this home rule amendment is all about.
Or at least
And
have the
I'm
last
just-
say. Right.
Yes, and I did want to check it with the Attorney General's office, and that's why I mentioned that.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Ed.
Okay, thank you.
Lynn Barbie?
Good evening, thank you. Lynn Barbie, Surf Drive. Saturday, our Homeowners Association at Seabrook Village held our annual meeting, and we invited Drew McManus to come and speak. And I was prompted by his name being on the agenda to come and say it was an amazing conversation. He gave a great presentation. He explained all about the Red Brook Road and stuff that's going on. He talked about the nitrogen. Most importantly, he was very patient and answered everybody's questions. And I just think a lot of public employees don't get thanked enough, and it was really helpful. And a lot of people have said to me how great it was. So I just wanted him to be publicly thanked for that. And I know you all know he's a great employee, but I think it's really important that they get as much recognition as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, discussion and approval of a special event application, American Lung Association 37th Annual Autumn Escape Bike Trek to pass through Mashpee on Saturday, September 25th, 2021. The American Lung Association, Paul Curley. I think we have something. You have it in your
Yep, it's in the packet.
packet.
A great event. I'd make
It
a motion,
is.
we approve it as requested with the conditions from the departments.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Yes.
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 Very good. Discussion and approval of resignation appointments of the following. Resignation Bylaw Review Committee, Member at Large, term to expire June 30th, 2025, Margaret Santos. And Margaret also used to serve in the town clerk's office. Could we make sure that we send her?
We can, but, Madam Chair, I think you
Skipped
missed
one.
an item.
Oh, I did? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Proclamation.
Skip one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Discussion and approval of the annual Proclamation National Suicide Prevention Month, Cape and Island Suicide Prevention Correlation. Andrew,
You want me to read it?
read it, please.
Okay. Whereas September is known as Suicide Prevention Month, a time in which mental health advocates, individuals, prevention organizations, survivors, allies, and communities around the country unite to promote suicide prevention awareness. And whereas the past year has presented our communities with challenges and led to transitions that, expected or unexpected, welcomed or not, can be unsettling, disorienting, and stressful. And whereas the pandemic has changed our fabric of life and in major life changes our environmental risk factors for suicide, and whereas we know that connecting, working with, and supporting one another can help prepare us for the future, and whereas, according to the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, suicide is the 10th leading cause of death among adults, and the second leading cause of death among individuals of ages 10 to 34 in the United States. And whereas more than 480,000 people died by suicide across the United States in 2019, with an average of 132 suicides completed daily, and whereas each suicide directly impacts a minimum of 100 additional people, including families, friends, coworkers, neighbors, and community members, and whereas local organizations like the Cape and Island Suicide Prevention Coalition encourage all residents to take the time to understand the importance of mental health education and recognize that taking care of ourselves and others includes taking care of mental health, and whereas the town of Mashpee publicly places its full support behind those who work in the fields of mental health, education, law enforcement, whereas all Barnstable residents are urged to play a role in suicide prevention, promote mental health and wellness as we strive towards reducing suicides, and whereas September is recognized across the United States as Suicide Prevention Month and provides the opportunity to educate our community about the warning signs for suicide and how to reach out and connect to those experiencing an emotional crisis, now therefore be it resolved, the Mashpee Board of Selectmen do hereby proclaim the month of September 2021 as National Suicide Prevention Month in the town of Mashpee.
Thank you, Andrew.
Make a motion, we adopt the proclamation as presented.
Second.
Roll call, Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. Discussion approval of resignation appointments of the following. Bylaw Review Committee Member at Large, term to expire June 30th, 2025, Margaret Santos. And we could also send Margaret a letter of thank you for being on the board. Resignation for Shellfish Commission, Commercial Rep, term to expire June 30th, 24, Stephen Marcus. Also for Stephen too, Rodney. And request for 6-month leave of absence, Environmental Oversight Committee, Andrew McManus.
Make a motion, we approve all 3 requests.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Town Manager's preliminary report on the field use at Heritage Park on September 4th, 2021. Rodney?
Yes, unfortunately, I must report to the board that the condition of Heritage Park was not only unacceptable, it was in a horrendous condition, and it was an embarrassment to the town. There are 3 applicable policies. One is policy number 042 regarding the use of Heritage Park. Another is policy number 051, which are the rules and regulations for use of town facilities. And the third is policy number 062, which is the use of school buildings and/or facilities. There are basically 2 applications, Madam Chair and members of the board. One is a facility use application, which is a form that stays and is processed through DPW. The second is a special event permit application, which goes to various departments and ultimately to the board for approval. This clearly was a special event permit application, and it never was processed as such, and it never came before this board. So it was a violation of policy. I was not aware of it. The assistant manager was not aware of it. The director of DPW was not aware of it initially. This was handled at the staff level of DPW. There were errors in judgment. They have been corrected. I feel confident in saying it will never happen again. I am embarrassed at the condition of the park. There were photographs sent to me by the police and by a civilian, actually a public official. I also note in a police report. I responded to Heritage Park, and upon my arrival, I observed a large and extremely unreasonable amount of trash on the ground in the parking lot area. It appeared that the patrons from the event the prior night had just thrown their trash all over the place and made no attempt to locate a trash receptacle to dispose of their trash. The fields were strewn with trash, food, cups, bottles, and everything that appeared to have been used to run the event. It appeared, based on a sign that was displayed, that the event organizers were selling alcoholic beverages during the event. Obviously, you all know, this is a clear violation of the use of any town facility or property. There were also numerous scattered empty and partially consumed alcoholic beverages around the field area. This field area was, in my opinion, disgusting, and it appeared that no attempt was made at this location to clean the area or throw away the trash from the patrons at the event. So after looking at the pictures, looking at the reports, looking at the applications, looking at the policies, it is fair to say that this never should have happened, and I am going to see to it that it never happens again. And I'm willing to answer any questions.
Thank you, Rodney.
I have one quick one. I mean, is there any, so there was some type of application by somebody.
Yes.
So do we have any rights of fines, or is that being discussed or considered?
There is a protocol where an insurance certificate can be required.
Right.
Under these circumstances, it was waived.
Wow.
Okay, so it is what it is at this point, you know.
Because I know when we sign off on a special event, that usually there is an insurance waiver.
This
Yeah, that's a
This
shame.
never, ever should have happened. And all I can do is say, I'm going to do everything to make sure it never happens again. Obviously, I'm not going to discuss personnel issues publicly, but it's fair to say that the appropriate action has been taken to make sure this never happens again. And as the chief administrative officer of the town that tries to say the buck stops with me, any person that lives in that area, I publicly apologize to.
Thank you, Rodney.
Good enough for me.
Do we know, you know who the event hosts were?
Yes, I do.
Can we cite them for littering? You got a police report.
Yes.
I mean, at least it's something.
It might be the first fine for littering, right?
Hey,
Right?
I think it will be.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the contemporaneous police report, should be sufficient.
And if anybody wants to see the pictures,
Oh, we've seen them.
I've got more.
Okay.
It's bad. And obviously, I was on vacation at the time, but I can
Good idea.
follow up by saying that the individual that did fill out the application said to the assistant town manager, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he was not aware of anybody that was authorized to be there bringing in alcoholic beverages. That does not pass the credibility test.
I'm laughing because I did see the pictures and I heard all about it.
There was
so-
a sign, which I have a picture of right here,
Sally?
saying how much the alcoholic beverages cost.
Yeah.
That is on the fence, and I got a picture of it right here if you want to see it. Total embarrassment.
Are they Mashpee folks?
No, sir.
That makes it
I,
worse.
Hyannis.
I second Andy's
Yeah,
thought about absolute fine for
fine.
littering. If that's the minimum, it's something, but it would also be the first probably fine for littering in this town. So,
Yeah, I should,
would be great.
I should point out that the next day, We did contact the organizer, who did come down and organize a cleanup. My understanding is everything was cleaned up to our satisfaction. However, the fact that there was furniture, litter, all sorts of scattered debris, noise, you name it, none of which was acceptable. And on the application, they had indicated that there was going to be a DJ. If there's going to be a DJ, that's a special permit, or a special event permit. It's not a field use permit. A field use permit is for like a softball game. Because we didn't want to bother the board, and the board accepted that by policy, that if it was going to be like a softball game, it could just be handled at the department level. This was anything but a softball game.
Based on that, was there any damage to the field?
My understanding is no. In fact, we had a long chat this morning with staff about that. I think it's fair to say it's not going to happen again.
No, it
But I
sounds like
can't,
you have it under control.
I can't turn the clock back and delete, what was it, September 4th. If I could, I would.
Good enough for me.
Was there any calls from neighbors regarding sound violations?
Yes, sir.
And was that included in the police report? Any mention
The
of?
police did respond, and they did contact the DPW director, and she was aware that a permit had been issued. And based on that information, the police didn't feel comfortable taking any action because they didn't have a copy of the permit. And when I got the call, I'm like, what did I miss here? I know I don't have the best memory, but I don't remember anything like that.
I didn't know if, like Andy, minimal citation for the noise ordinance, if that's appropriate with the complaints and the response of the police,
Yep.
if that would be appropriate as well.
I'll certainly discuss that, sir. And there were two, what I consider significant issues. One is the reckless drinking on town property, and number two, the noise level that was disturbing our residents, and the people who are there aren't even residents.
What are you gonna do?
Well, we know it
Yeah.
won't happen.
Would have never figured.
Thank you.
What's done is done.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, communications and correspondence. I did put some communication in your folder. I think you have it from Chairman Falone from the Planning Board on what was discussed at their meeting on development. And now, old business, discussion and action and execution of October 18, 2021 annual town meeting warrant. Okay, so now we just need to go through. Is there any articles that we need to, Wayne, is there any articles?
The only articles that you have a question on are the solar ones that have not been addressed yet.
And I
And I
don't
would
think we're,
suggest you guys maybe want to do make a motion at town meeting, or make your recommendation at town meeting, because you won't meet before this, obviously.
right, the planning board meets and they're having a public hearing
Right.
on.
And usually you have time before the meeting to discuss them and make a recommendation when you come up, whoever's going to read the
Sure,
article.
I think that's
It's up to
probably
you
best.
guys.
So regarding Article 1, right?
No, this is the solar,
Oh, okay.
the
Solar
solar.
ones for the
We can
planning
make
board.
recommendations at the, at town meeting, at the meeting before town meeting,
Right. Yeah,
okay?
it's only prudent.
There's a couple of blanks in a few of these articles, for money articles.
Which one is it?
9. CARES Act. Do we have a sum to put in?
I know that Don was comfortable with $1 million at the Finance Committee, said not to exceed
And not to exceed.
$1 million. So the $1 million is what would have been in there.
So should we add that?
I can add that, sure.
I mean,
I'll have it for the, if you want to add it now, we'll,
I don't know, I mean,
yeah,
Well, for us to execute it,
yeah,
yes.
to execute with that $1
Okay.
million in place, yes.
You good with
Okay.
that, or do you?
So we
would you
need a
prefer
vote.
we'd wait?
And you're okay with that?
That's what we were told.
That's
by
what
the,
we were advised.
finance
By the
directors.
treasurer, right.
So I need a motion.
I make a motion, we amend Article 9 to read, see if the town will vote to appropriate and transfer the sum of $1 million from revenue.
I'll second that.
Not to exceed.
Not to
A
exceed.
sum not to exceed $1 million. So we'll have to,
Second.
Roll call. John?
Yes.
Andrew?
yeah.
Yes. David?
Yes.
And Tom?
Yes.
Is there
And
any-
the only other blank I saw was in Article 3, the date.
Mashpee
It's
Home
actually,
Rule?
yeah. So,
Of the
third
business.
line down the
Yeah.
second paragraph.
We need a date.
It's probably gonna have to just
Don't
wait.
have an answer for you.
Well, we'll just have to wait.
So, well, we have to execute, so why don't we just authorize the town manager to add in, it's the factual information, it's just the
Okay.
date of the the code.
Okay.
Was that a motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call. Tom?
Yes.
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 Okay.
And to address Ed's issue, I'd suggest, rather than amend it now, since we've been making up language on the fly, why don't we just leave it as it is and then potentially offer a floor amendment
Floor amendment?
if,
I'd
you know,
rather
in
see it here.
consultation
I
with
mean, I
town
think
council.
it's pretty clear. I mean, I don't think it's confusing if we go with the language, simple language that Ed suggested. I think it's a good idea. It's home rule, and that's what I like about it.
I'm
It's
not
home
objecting
rule.
to it, I just
Oh.
don't
I
want to
know.
make up the I don't want to,
Well, I'd rather see it made up here than on the floor.
no, I'd rather have town council write it and give us language to read in as an
Before we
amendment.
go to the,
Yeah.
yeah,
For the-
okay.
Right.
And I have the
Okay.
utmost, if I could,
Yes.
I have the utmost respect for Ed and his history with the
The charter.
charter itself. I just think we would be inconsistent with our protocols of having every article that's going to town meeting reviewed and approved by town council. So I don't know if you have any other item to talk about. I could have the assistant manager step out and see if he can call.
No, I think,
No,
I think we,
no.
I mean, we've tried to stay away from writing amendments the night of
On the fly.
execution.
Right.
So all I'm suggesting is, Ed raised an issue, I have no problem with his issue. I'd like to have the opportunity for you, council, to confer the right way to do it. And then we go to town meeting floor all the time with technical amendments
Yeah.
in a motion. And we can make an appropriate motion at that time.
And if I could, maybe bring you language at the meeting before the meeting.
Yeah, yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Is that,
Yeah,
That sounds-
yeah, just
sounds
as soon
fine.
avoid making the change out on the floor, that's
Right.
all.
okay.
That's
Okay.
right.
So everybody has an opportunity to.
Carol, Ed's trying to get in.
Ed?
I just want to make a comment. The Home Rule Amendment requires, Andy, the town council to propose the amendments and all the language of it. So
Okay.
I'm very much aware of that, and I would have said that, but I realize that that's the way it goes.
Yeah,
And I'm absolutely fair with it.
we should talk to our lawyer first, just to make sure we do it right.
Right.
This whole thing is about doing it the right way.
That's right.
That's right.
We don't need a vote on that.
No, I think it's,
Oh, and I'll have the language ready for you the night of town meeting.
Okay.
and with that, I'll make a motion that we vote to execute the town meeting warrant as listed with highlighting for people, it's at 6 o'clock, not 7.
6 o'clock. Right.
Yeah, that should
October
be-
18th.
That needs to be advertised
Yes.
as much as possible,
Right.
please.
We'll have it on the website. That's fine. Go ahead.
That's my motion.
I'll
Second.
second that
Second.
motion.
Okay. Roll call. John?
Yes.
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 Yes. Very good. Okay, new business, additional topics, liaison reports. Anybody have any liaison reports?
Town seal, we've chosen something to present to the board. We're going to wait and compile a report and presentation to present. And we should have that for we're anticipating it ready for the November 15th Selectmen's meeting.
Good. Tom?
I can think of as any great importance at this time.
Just town engineer and sewer commissioner are hard at work to meet the October 15th deadline for submission of the full engineering package to the state for maintaining our place in line for the money. So a lot of time and effort going into that right now.
Good. John?
Good.
All righty, town manager updates.
The annual fireworks display, again, is September 18th at 7:30 PM. And I would point out that the display will take place at the Mashpee Middle High School Athletic Field. Parking begins at 5 PM. Fireworks display at 7:30. This year's display, through the generous contribution from the Mashpee Pops, will pay special tribute to Jim Vaccaro. There will be no vendors, games, or activities this year. COVID cases. Today, there were 10 new positive COVID cases locally, bringing the current cases to 48. Road work. Mass DOT will be repairing sections of the road on Route 28 on September 23rd and 24th. The work hours are 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. The locations are sections from the westbound lane by Industrial Drive and Polaris Drive, the full road width by Sampson's Mill Road, and the eastbound lane after Bowden Road. No detours are proposed, but traffic will be delayed as one lane of the road will be closed. Traffic will be alternated through a detail. And I also wanted to just say publicly, to further mitigate the potential for disease spread, the distribution of oral rabies vaccine is beginning today again. This effort will be repeated with the addition of the traditional ORV zone on the mainland, and it's also in the towns of Bourne, Sandwich, Falmouth, as well as ours, and also Barnstable, Yarmouth, Dennis, Brewster, Harwich, Chatham, Orleans, Plymouth, Wareham, Carver, Kingston, etc. There is a number here that people can call, 877-722-6725. And if you have any further questions, you can contact our local health department.
Is that all you have?
That's it.
That's it? I would like to ask the town manager, I was thinking that I would like to do a roundtable discussion with the regulatory boards like we did 3 years ago. And maybe in November, if we could set something up, to see what's next for us in Mashpee. We've conquered, we're starting the wastewater. We're looking into workforce housing. What's next? What do we need to look at? And I'd like ideas from the board and bring the other boards in and start talking about where do we go for the next 3.
Do you think a special meeting on
Yeah.
alternate Monday?
Yeah,
Great idea.
just to bring everybody back on at the table and start the discussion. It worked very well last time with the wastewater.
Do you think appeals, planning,
Yeah,
health, conservation?
yes.
Want to start with wastewater again?
Well, we are already, we can talk about wastewater, but we've more or less done the wastewater, but we need to think of what's next for us.
I'm just thinking along the lines of the wastewater, Board of Health type
Mhm.
of,
Yeah,
because that's,
We certainly, at that point, we'll have some updated information to
Yes.
talk about with ponds.
right,
So it certainly can be one thing, it doesn't have to be the whole night.
no,
right.
right.
If there's any specific agenda item that you're looking for in terms of vision, then feel free to just
Okay.
let us know, so I know exactly how you
Sure.
want it worded, because I'm assuming that they will be wondering, well, what is the
Exactly.
purpose of the meeting?
Right.
And we'd just like to give them some framework.
Well, what do we think, board? I mean, the next step is maybe
Well, there-
clean water for our ponds and waterways? I
Well,
mean,
that's always, that's
That's-
already, that's a no-brainer. We're all on board with
we're all
that
on
one.
board with that. But
But
what's
I-
next for Mashpee?
I have as simple as one of the problems that I've seen for the last few years is design plan review. The changes that are being made or vegetation that's missing in front of property, business properties. There used to be a requirement that you had a buffered, vegetated buffer in front of the buildings. Signs lit how they were lit, not internally, but with arms from either up or down. But I see things changing, and I don't know if the rules, the bylaws have changed, or is they just changing gradually? So I'd like to just, have a conversation about that and see where we're going. I mean,
That could be an enforcement issue.
Yeah,
yeah.
that could be.
Yeah.
Andy, you usually have ideas.
I think the water quality piece is an ongoing one. We started, we're not done.
Oh,
So that certainly, nutrients, discussion around septic cesspools, enforcement strategy, expansion of the next phase of sewers, we can certainly talk about all those things. We maybe want to call in the Mashpee Water District, talk about, water quality from the drinking water perspective, which is not something that we capture as a board or as a town because of the district being separate. Might be of interest to people. How much water does they have? What are they seeing for quality problems? How are they dealing with contamination coming from the base that's knocked out Turner Road wells? I think it would be useful for people to hear that part of the conversation.
Very, I'm sure. Nobody understands.
David? Any ideas?
The priority would be water quality issues, nutrients and wetland buffers, consideration of expanding wetland buffers, the issues around the PFAS and PFOs that we're finding in the rivers. Are we testing the ponds? Consideration towards, are we adequately testing areas of concern, including all watersheds, water bodies? Those would be the priority
At least we're
issues.
kind of getting an idea of where we're looking, and maybe the other boards can come up
And
with.
the other one I'd throw out there, was prompted by the conversation we had with Board of Health last couple meetings ago. People tend to they're busy, they skate their lane, they don't look over the wall very much. Like, how could we, as a group of regulatory bodies, sort of say, how would you strategically deal with issues around water quality? How does health talk to conservation, to natural resources?
Yeah.
How, is there some method we could get to with those boards so that they're taking a look at some of those issues and not just getting the stuff that comes in front of them on a daily agenda and not looking to the broader mission? We don't lose the forest for the trees as a set of operating departments.
Agreed. John?
Yeah, no, everything, yes, I still think, I know we're gonna get the results of cesspools and everything around Santua Pond, but I think.
When do we have them come back in, the Board of Health? We said, what, 45 days?
They have at least 30 days to serve the letters, it's
But
gonna
the
be.
letters went out
It
Yeah.
could be
Yeah,
a
from
while, so.
some of the matter I'm hearing, the letters went out.
yeah.
But my thought was, we may get those results prior to this, but that's only gonna be Santua Pond. We still.
Oh, we need to
I-
do.
I want to talk about now, replicate that, but in the bigger talk of the whole town, all the waterways, and then that's, if that could be tackled in one meeting, I'd be amazed, because we don't know what all those findings are going to be, and I think we might be opening up.
Yeah, I think you might want to
Yeah.
schedule 2 or 3 meetings, one November, December, January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get them
November,
on the
December,
books so people
January.
set them
Yes,
aside
I think so.
and see where it goes. That's what we did
Yeah.
the wastewater thing and
Yeah, no, I.
took on a life of its own, but
did.
it was useful.
No, it was.
And then
good.
if we can give enough, time frame, enough advance notice to, like, say, the Board of Health,
Right,
they can run their reports, get the results, where we're not
Exactly.
tasking them with, all that legwork to do within a couple weeks.
sure.
We can give them a month and a half, 2 months to gather up all the documents and
let's-
information.
Let's think of what the first meeting should talk about. So we have an agenda.
The other item, I think, it'd be good for us to hear, I think, from the other regulatory bodies, any concerns around the development agreement and Mashpee Commons expansion. If we're all coming together and in the room, then, you know, I'd be interested in their, you know, input on what's being proposed and the information that's out there to date.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else?
Actually, I have one that I'd like to motion to actually add it to the agenda if possible, and it could be a very brief discussion in regards to potential adjustment of the lights at the Mashpee, at the high school. So, and I know you're going to say it's state and the whole thing, but I know first to even talk about it,
You're
I think
adding it to the agenda?
I'd like to add it to the agenda.
Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Roll
Yes.
call?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead.
Thank you. So I see this, it's every time this time of year, and now we're at the beginning. I hear from everybody all the time, and I understand it's a state road, but I don't know what it takes to have that looked at, to have it adjusted for school hours, the beginning and the end,
Oh, the lights.
the lights.
That's
And again, I know it's a state road, but there's got to be a way for us to start
the
the
traffic.
process to have it looked at and have it adjusted. It's a nightmare, and everybody talks about it. It becomes, I mean, some people, it turns into like road rage because they're just insane by the time they get to the light. I don't know, I just hear it, I see it, and I hear it every time, you know, throughout the school year. There's got to be a way for us to have that, you know, adjusted.
Traffic lights?
The traffic.
The traffic lights at the
I
high
think
school. It's,
151 is a county road, isn't it?
well,
Would we go
from
to
my
the
understanding,
Counties?
It's a
It's-
state light.
Is it?
so I know we
Believe me, I
can't,
went through that because I put the light in there, so I know exactly what it took.
It's
So-
your fault.
So it's your
Yeah,
fault. Fix it.
I believe that's one of the items that is on the 151 projects.
Oh,
Project
it
when we do
definitely
it
is on the
Agenda.
project,
Yes,
yeah.
it is.
I know that doesn't help you tonight or tomorrow, but trust me, we have emphasized that as far as this project is concerned.
because if I understand it correctly, the project actually stops at that intersection?
No, the light is part of that.
It includes the light, but
Yes.
as long as, if you can just assure me that it includes the adjustment of the
Doesn't
timing?
include- It's not even the adjustment of time, it's going to adjust the road layout completely. So there'll be a left turn, right turn, those types of things that aren't there currently.
Oh, so it'll lessen the
Yeah,
traffic.
well, there is some of that now,
Yes, but
But it has-
not on Southport side or,
right.
So-
It's just, but the timing for like the school day has got to be, there's got to be an adjustment in the timing. It can't, the same timing just doesn't work throughout the 24-hour period. That's,
I'll be nice.
all right? I get it, I hear it, see it all the time.
That's good.
So, thank you for that.
Okay.
We've also heard it from the Southport residents that we visited for one of their association meetings. That was like, I think, the number one thing.
It was up there, along with the trucks driving on that road, yeah.
I'd love to see like the green arrows with the, so that people can just get through the lights much more efficient. So, all right. Thank you.
Okay, now I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Second.
Roll call?
Carol?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have a
Yes.
finance
Yes.
committee meeting, a person that wanted to say something. I don't
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a question, what have you decided to do with regard to the solar articles?
We're going to make our decision at the meeting before town meeting, because the planning board hasn't even had the hearing yet.
Yeah, I would suggest that the areas that are going to be developed in solar zones, especially the high-density ones, be mapped out.
He should be at the mic.
Yeah, you should come up to the mic.
Okay.
We know there's a lot of components to the articles.
Yes, Article 28. I am concerned that there is a lack of transparency. I think it includes large solar zones. And I think it's important for the public to have that mapped out and to know what the impact would be.
Town, yes. And for future.
Yeah,
Yes, I agree.
particularly with regard to clearing any trees or anything like that.
Right.
Okay.
We all understand it. But it's a petition article.
Yeah, who's the petitioner?
The petitioner is, we don't state,
It won't say in
it doesn't say in the article.
What are the petition requirements?
10.
10 signatures.
10 signatures.
Okay. That's just a few questions.
Yeah, there's a lot of components to that one.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to
We're
adjourn.
We're good, right?
Everybody's good?
Yep.
We're adjourned. Thank you.